Welcome back, everyone. Today, we're talking about a story of just unparalleled, mind-boggling scale. We're looking at the Walton family, the literal architects behind the Walmart retail empire. And, this isn't just a story about a store. It's really about how one seemingly simple idea went ahead and completely rewired the global economy. Okay, let's dive into this.
Here's the roadmap for our explainer today. We'll kick things off with the roots of a retail giant, then get into the birth of Walmart, explore the Walton family legacy, map out the modern retail empire, and finally wrap up by looking at their wealth, philanthropy, and impact. To really wrap your head around the sheer magnitude of this, I want you to imagine building a business so incredibly massive that millions of people walk through its doors every single day. We are talking about over 10,000 physical stores operating daily. 10,000! That's just staggering.
And that footprint isn't just here at home. This empire extends into nearly 20 different countries, creating this massive, interconnected global reach that literally spans continents and wildly diverse economic landscapes.
All of this culminates in one staggering metric: over $600 billion in annual revenue. $600 billion! To put that kind of money into perspective, if this company were a country, its revenue would easily rank among the top economies in the entire world. So how on earth did one family pull this off? Section 1. Roots of a retail giant. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how much of a contrast there is between his childhood and the modern empire we just talked about.
Because when you think of a $600 billion empire, you probably picture fancy Wall Street boardrooms, right? But this story starts far, far away from all of that, with Sam Walton. Born in Oklahoma back in 1918, he grew up right in the thick of the Great Depression. He definitely wasn't handed a silver spoon. He was doing hard labor. We're talking milking cows, delivering newspapers, really whatever it took to help his family get by. And those incredibly grounded roots, they laid the absolute foundation for 1945, when he opened his very first variety store in Arkansas.
Growing up during the Depression fundamentally wired Sam with a very strict set of core values: hard work, honesty, and a literal obsession with saving money. And while working in retail, he noticed this universal truth: customers absolutely loved low prices. I mean, everybody loves a deal, right? He realized that if he could just figure out a way to sell more products at lower prices than anyone else, he'd win, period. And spoiler alert, it worked incredibly well.
Which brings us to Section 2, the birth of Walmart.
Fast forward to 1962, and Sam officially launches the first Walmart. He was very much a strategic underdog here. At the time, all the major retailers were obsessed with big cities. They completely ignored small towns because, well, they figured there just wasn't enough money to be made out there. But Sam, he took a totally contrarian approach. He focused exclusively on these rural communities where competition was basically non-existent. By ignoring the big cities entirely, he essentially locked down a monopoly in these underserved towns. This one pivot, it was a total game changer. It changed retail forever. And to make this rural strategy work, he used this brilliantly simple two-step business model. Step 1, fiercely negotiate better prices from suppliers. Step 2, pass those exact savings directly onto the customers. Sounds like totally basic common sense today, right? But back then, it was revolutionary. This relentless cycle of volume and discounts just drove this rapid, almost unstoppable expansion across the country. That entire two-step logic was perfectly boiled down into one iconic phrase: save money, live better. It wasn't just some catchy marketing slogan, it was a promise. People in these small towns finally felt seen, they felt valued, and they rewarded Walmart with this fierce, multi-generational loyalty. Section 3, the Walton family legacy. Let's move to and see how this builds. Because as the business exploded from a single founder's vision into this massive, multi-generational institution, the family's influence obviously grew right along with it. Behind the scenes, Sam's wife, Helen Walton, played a super vital role in supporting the business while raising the kids. And when Sam sadly passed away in 1992, the torch was officially passed to the next generation. Rob, John, Jim, and Alice Walton inherited these massive ownership stakes. They were now the ones tasked with keeping their dad's long-term vision alive while the company scaled globally. But here's what makes this family so uniquely fascinating. It's how they actually handle all that immense power. Despite being among the wealthiest shareholders in human history, they notoriously dodge the spotlight. Unlike a lot of billionaires who are constantly in the headlines or, posting all over social media, the Waltons chose a very private path. They quietly focused their energy on the business, their investments, and some truly massive philanthropic endeavors.
Section 4. The modern retail empire.
Fast forward to today, and what this next generation built on top of their father's foundation is honestly almost hard to comprehend. We're talking about serving hundreds of millions of customers every single week. They aren't just a discount store anymore. We are looking at massive grocery chains, sprawling supercenters, a colossal e-commerce platform, pharmacy services, financial services, and of course, the membership warehouses of Sam's Club. The sheer operational scale required to keep all those plates spinning at the same time is just staggering.
And to run an operation of that magnitude, you need an absolute army. Literally, over 2 million employees. Let that sink in for a second. 2 million. Walmart employs more people than the entire populations of several small countries. They are, without a doubt, one of the world's largest private employers. The real secret behind maintaining that insane scale? Unmatched logistics mastery. To keep those shelves stocked and those online orders flowing, they've built one of the most advanced supply chains on the planet. We're talking massive, high-tech distribution centers and thousands of trucks hitting the road every single day. And this brilliantly illustrates how a system so finely tuned actually becomes the blueprint that other businesses and universities around the globe actively study today. Section 5. Wealth, Philanthropy, and Impact.
Unsurprisingly, the insane success of this logistical and retail machine has consistently ranked the Waltons right up there among the richest families in the world. But how are they actually using all that wealth? Well, through their charitable foundations, the family has donated billions, with a B, channeling their retail wealth back into society. They invest really heavily across major pillars like education, environmental conservation, local community development, medical research, and enriching arts and culture. Now, as you can probably imagine, with any corporation of this immense, almost unfathomable size, opinions on specific business and labor practices naturally vary quite a bit across the political spectrum. But there is one undeniable historical fact here. Their impact on the global economy is absolute. The way our goods are sourced, the way they're priced, how they're distributed, the very DNA of global retail has been permanently transformed by the systems this one family built.
We've traced a pretty incredible journey today. It started with a young kid doing chores during the Great Depression, evolved into a single small-town discount store in Arkansas, and ultimately exploded into an interconnected global empire. So the crucial point is, this is a masterclass built on clear vision, rigorous discipline, continuous innovation, and this really unwavering commitment to long-term thinking. And it's a result you literally see every time millions of shoppers walk through their doors.
Which leaves us with a final thought for you to reflect on. Looking back at everything we've just unpacked, from that contrarian rural strategy to the aggressive pricing model to their absolute logistics mastery, what do you think is the single biggest reason behind Walmart's incredible success? I really encourage you to chew on that and maybe dive a bit deeper into the mechanics of this fascinating retail giant to see what else you can uncover. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and